You're absolutely right. AI is indeed changing the way that we build. So let's embrace it and dive deeper into the new way to build with Acronis founder and chief constructor of Constructor Group, Mr. Serg Bell.
Excited to be here. Thank you, Acronis. Thank you, JJ, for inviting me. Just wanted to remind the partners, I left Acronis CEO position, but my main focus is Constructor Group. Constructor Group was founded exactly when I left Acronis in 2021, and it is 3 pillars which are supporting a single mission, leveraging computing, software, and robotics to make scientists, teachers, and students more efficient, more effective. I'm here about what we're facing. One thing why things are happening in such a crazy way, because humanity is just about intelligence, and AI is about intelligence, and we keep hearing that there will be soon artificial general intelligence and even super intelligence. It is kind of very confusing. In 2020, we were using AI in Acronis for over 10 years, and in some way, GPT was invented in 2018, and GPT-3 appeared. It was already on the radar. It was not very clear how great it would be. And the forecast for AGI was 2045. Not so scary. Most of us might not think that long. Then in 2025, they say this AGI will be before 2033. And we have Claude Code, which is suddenly much bigger and better than OpenAI. Who would expect that? Some smaller company started later. Every developer of the world is using AI, and many people became developers because of AI. And in 2026, we have many people noticing very unusual events happening, such as CTO of large companies like Workday or like Salesforce, leaving their positions and joining as individual contributors in Anthropic, because of their beliefs that AI is going to change the world through AGI. Well, we don't know if this is going to happen. We do know that for sure Claude and generally and LLMs already significantly disrupted office work. And we certainly know that this is amazing, but we believe ARR of Claude is over, Anthropic is over 50 billion. And that is 10x more than the same time last year. There has never been a company in the history of mankind which went from 5 billion to 50 billion of ARR within just 1 year through organic growth. And we also know that perhaps AGI is not coming as soon, but definitely already since several weeks, months, everything's happening as quickly. AI is becoming helpful in solving new problems in biotechnology, in mathematics, and in physics. So that's one thing. And another thing which is important is AI is difficult to control. And generally, AI gives even more power to open source because, if you think about open source, it was a sort of coined in 1998. People started talking about them. It wasn't when it was created, but it was created maybe 15 years earlier, but it was instrumental to internet revolution, which, JJ just spoke about. LAMP powered the internet, enabled companies like GoDaddy, like Equinix, and many other companies to make money. By 2008, open source was so powerful that almost every new hardware platform was actually using open source. Android and Linux are open source. LAMP stack is used all over cloud companies. Even Microsoft is running on a LAMP stack right now. They are no longer fighting this trend. Kubernetes is a primary way for us to manage infrastructure. VS Code, which is Visual Studio successor, is open source, and you can actually extend it. And many other things, even in the service provider industry like OpenStack. In general, there is a very good fit of any open source towards rapid technology shifts. And for sure, we have rapid or almost ultra-rapid change in technology. AI drives change in hardware, in middleware, in applications, in scenarios, in networks, and open source can address it in much better, much faster way. And that is, in addition to that, amplified by the fact that AI can now read the source of open source better than read APIs of the binary code, and it can contribute into open source. And in addition to that, AI is something which is much harder to control than software. Software is also sort of intelligence. And controlling software is always challenging for regulators because, you know, the third-party vendors can put some stuff in their code which is hard to check, but it's even harder to check AI. And so there is a drive toward open source. With that, there is another thing to address. If you read the media over the past 3 years, there is a constant discussion that there will be no developers anymore. There was even discussions, and as I'm involved in science research and education, that there shouldn't be computer science and software engineering in the universities because there is no more need for software engineers. There is enough of software engineers. This will all be done by AI. That not always happened this way. You know, the cars, planes, trains, they make transportation much more powerful, but there is only more people who drive by the factor of 10,000 just in the United States. If you think about automating software development process, it is not something very new. It has started in the 70s. There were many computer-aided design tools. And then in 2000s, when there was this huge demand for new software driven by internet, there was a sprawl of different things like graphical user interfaces with code generation, unified modeling language, different special frameworks like Ruby on Rails, many discussions about low-code and zero-code environments, and many, many other things. However, all of this is sort of become less important just to research again in 2024, where everybody started talking about the fact that any of you can become developer and just use agentic coding and code whatever task you need to code. You know, there is again huge discussion what it means for software companies. For sure, AI puts IT jobs under strain. Not necessarily that it eliminates the jobs, but people will have to reskill and need to think about how to reorganize, considering that now not only there is less developers, but every employee, every person can become developer with the help of AI. I do think that this whole idea of the fact that there will be no coding is wrong. Humans need much more code. Just to make a system equal to a human, equal to any of us, I believe there is maybe 10,000 to 1,000,000 times more code needed to be written in a very good way as in any largest modern operating system. So we are very far from enough code. And what we're hitting today is more of a bottleneck of hardware. There is not enough hardware. It is too expensive. Coding is becoming too expensive. And so with that, we started a new project. It was started about a year ago, and it was started between Acronis, Constructor, and Virtuoso. It's completely open source, and we want to build guardrails, metrics, optimization for AI software development. You know, kind of just like a government for a country which needs to be open and democratic, but should allow you to function in a very good way. That's my country. I'm Singaporean, and we're well known for the best possible governance, which effectively enables us to be the richest country in the world. So if you think about the problems in coding with AI, there is many problems. First of all, everybody notices in the last 3 months, especially in the last 2 months, that the AI is skyrocketing cost of AI tokens. People seeing some productivity increases, but they're seeing doubling of the AI spend months on months, and that spend can very quickly, it's like everything doubling, can become uncontrollable. Instead of spending money on your developers, you will end up spending money on AI. In addition to that, there is more and more complaints, and when it comes to a larger and consistent code basis, when it comes to making a code professional, it is very difficult to control the code which is generated by AI. The AI generates and regenerates and rewrites code, and it's hard for humans to understand. And so with that in mind, we first started Constructor Studio, which is a set of guardrails for AI software development, which allows companies like Acronis, much smaller Virtuoso, much younger Constructor, and companies with 10, 100 people to create consistent and fully controlled code bases. And then we had to realize that we have to add two other components to our vision for the fabric. One component is a Constructor Insight, which is a system allowing you to objectively measure productivity of your developers, yet system administrators and employees. It becomes very difficult to manage. You know, developers can generate a lot of code, but is it the same kind of code? Is it sparse code? Is it rewritten many times? There is also huge jump in the growth of cost of development systems and production systems. Everybody is seeing that this generated code, it needs to be executed, it needs to be built, it needs to be tested. And so to further optimize it, the third component of Constructor Fabric is Constructor Gears. Constructor Gears is a set of optimized libraries which are open source but available also in binary, which can be used to build great platforms and great infrastructure software in such a way that it stays reliable, performant, secure, efficient, and will have control and proper versatility. So it was started about 11 months ago. Whenever you govern huge opportunity well, it is likely that you can become very successful. That's just successes of my country. So now we have around 50 contributors in this project. Between Acronis, Virtuoso, Constructor, several third-party, we have around 500 developers using Constructor Fabric. It is open source. And you know, the founders are Acronis, Constructor, and Virtuoso. All of us have service providers in mind. We were successful with service providers. We started with applications as service providers as far back as 1999. And so everything we built, think about companies like yours, we have a target to get to about 500 contributors, 150 full-time contributors. So it's a serious project with a lot of value, which is designed for employees, developers like yours to immediately start using and contributing. And that is our ultimate goal. We don't want to conquest the world. We don't compete with Anthropic. We rather want to create a set of guardrails which would allow to cover all key roles in software development lifecycle, allowing to leverage this opportunity for each of you to automate your work with software development and AI. And so covering all these roles like software architecture, very important now because that could be very easily broken with AI, product management, development management, DevOps, and quality assurance. And so we have reasonably ambitious goals. There is 50 million developers in the world today. We want to have 1 million developers and using Constructor Fabric to develop their code bases, medium-sized code bases, by the end of 2027. And we think that we can get very significant number of developers coming from service providers. Service providers is a great, amazing, but always underserved segment, and we are focused on you guys. So what do you do now with this? You can learn about Constructor Fabric. You can develop using it today. You can contribute. Join us to customize, integrate, and extend with Acronis. Acronis is using it. Several new projects in Acronis are based on Constructor Fabric. Acronis is not open source. Constructor Fabric is open source, but because the underlying structure is the same, it is much easier to extend, customize, and integrate Acronis with Constructor Fabric. It's very easy to learn. At the end of the day, we provide software for education, next generation education. It is very easy to explore now. If you come, get certified, you can get pre-configured development environment after the training course and can start developing. Environment is based on CyberFrame, something which is amazingly available for all of the Acronis partners through their partner program. And also we hope to get your contributions. Contribution could be as easy as ideas and as feedback, but could also be you writing code. Now, with AI, all of you can make your people to be able to develop in a controlled way and also to contribute to our overall success. Thank you very much.